I think it did a lot. I think it, helped him get a lot of outs, induce weak contact at times, strikeouts with it. And I also think that, the ability to be able to pitch, for the most part, a lot less pain-free was a big deal for him.
Joe, you allowed him to go back out there with his pitch count already up there. How much of that was it for you to just have him get that ovation, get the first batter, and get that ovation coming?
He wanted to go back out. So I said, go ahead. He said, let me get one more hitter. And I thought, yeah, go ahead, go get one more hitter. So he was still throwing the ball really well. Obviously, at that point, you start to worry about next year because of us being eliminated. But he wanted to go back out, so I let him.
You're officially eliminated from the playoffs tonight. How do you evaluate this year as a whole?
Well, it's not what we wanted. It's pretty quiet in there. Probably the quietest I've ever seen after a win, in a sense. I think guys realize, came to an end tonight, and it's difficult. There were some good things that happened, but in the end we fell short, and we didn't have a successful season.
Dave, right here up front.
Joe, were you looking at the scoreboard?
Sure.
Did you notice?
Yeah, you look and you see it's 1-0, 2-0, and then it's 4-0, and obviously, you can look at what inning, how many outs at times. So yeah, you're aware of what's going on.
Was there, when it was finally over, was there anything said? Did you?
Yeah, it's, you work a long time to try to get to this point where you're in the playoffs. And when you don't get there, it's difficult. And at that point, the only thing that became important in a sense was to get CC this win. Because I thought he pitched really well this year, and I thought he deserved to win. So, it's difficult.
All right, Andrew and Dan.
Why do you think you didn't make the playoffs this year? What were the?
Oh, there's a lot of reasons. You can go into it. At times we didn't score runs. I think early on we went through a pretty rough streak where we didn't score runs. There were guys that probably didn't have the years we expected them to. We just couldn't seem to get over that 500 hump. It seemed like we got in a hole in the month of April, and it took us a while to dig our way out, but then we kind of got stuck. And, when you fall short, the responsibility falls on everybody. It starts with me, and when you look, we didn't score enough runs, and we gave up too many.
Dan.
This is 3 out of 4 years now that you haven't made it. How frustrating is that what used to be an annual thing of getting to the playoffs now has been a little bit more elusive?
Extremely frustrating. This is hard because, like I said, we work a long time to try to get to the postseason and win championships. And when you fall short, you realize there's a ton of work to start over again. And it's really, really difficult.
Mark.
Joe, I know you just sort of went over what happened the whole season, but more specifically, September 10th, you guys were a game out. What happened over the next 2 weeks? How do you look at the next 2 weeks and sort of what went wrong during that 3-11
Difficult losses.
stretch?
At times we had chances to open games up, and we didn't do it. We had chances to put more runs on the board. We didn't do it. At times, our bullpen weren't able to get the big outs, and those were the two main culprits.
Who else? Ron. It's right behind you.
You said you were thinking about next year already when sending CC out for the 8th. As you watch the Toronto score end, do you immediately start thinking toward next year already?
Yeah, you think about some things that you want to see before the year ends, as much as you can in a sense. But yeah, of course, my mind turns to next year. It's kind of how I'm wired, and you start thinking about, okay, what do we need to do, and who do we need to protect in this situation in a sense, Just an example. I took Girardi out because I didn't like the way he was running, and when he came over, I said, what's wrong? He said, I'm just stiff, normal stiffness. I said, okay, that makes me feel better that he's not hurt, but I didn't like it, so I don't want something to happen to him to where he's not running normal and he hurts something else that becomes a big deal. So my mind turned to next year.
Randy.
Joe, is there any sense of satisfaction that you guys stayed alive this late when you were a 500 ball club on August 1st after trading Carlos, Chapman, Miller?
Not really. You know, I only think about one thing: winning World Series. That's all I think about. And when you don't make the playoffs and you don't even get a chance, it's hard. So no, I don't. You know, I hear people talk about some things, and I'm like, no, we didn't do what we were supposed to do.
Andrew.
How will you manage this weekend?
To win. You know, is there a chance I'll give a guy a day off here and a guy a day off, you know, that have been playing, we've been playing, I don't know, I know it was 30 out of 31 days, so we've played, what, 27 out of 28 days? You know, I think Girardi could probably use a day off. I might give Els a day off in this. I'll talk to Tex. You know, it's easier to do things in a sense. But I will play to win because that's the right thing to do for this organization, for our fans, but more important for the game of baseball because these games mean things to other teams.
And how about Tanaka?
I don't know what's going to happen there yet. Michael's our starter tomorrow, correct?
Mm-hmm.